Hello. So today we're going to take a look at SUGArfx. It's called Rolling Credits. Now, once again, and this seems to be happening more and more often to me, is that I'm kind of go through plugins. I see things all the time, and I'll kind of gloss past certain things, and then later I'll go, "Hey, wait a minute, I need that." And I think that the area of using plugins to quickly get stuff done is becoming more and more appealing to me. So, and with saying that, this kind of goes coupling in line with what generally happens in production, is that at the end of a production, people are tired, and you're trying. The last thing you want to do is do the credits. You just want to get it done. And again, most people think, well, you know what? I'm just going to do it in the most simple way, because I can just do that inside Final Cut. It's no big deal, and blah blah. And then all of a sudden, you need to add more names, you need to add more sections. Then all of a sudden, it turns into this big thing. And Final Cut isn't that good at dealing with a lot of text, as we know. So early on, I did use I tried the built-in Final Cut ones, and limited. They looked a certain way as well, and then that's when I came across Rolling Credits. I got to say that it's very, very handy. It's nice and fast. It gives you limited control of the things that matter to just get it done. It is not going to always be the most perfect thing, but it's a big step up from just doing the typical, white lettering over black. It can quickly add something that otherwise, if it took more effort to do, you wouldn't bother doing at all. Now, when I see white over black, people say that looks like classic. I don't really buy that anymore. I think it looks like, oh yeah, they run out of time, because I know what it's like then. You're just like, oh, just get those things done. You get somebody to do it, I'm just tired. The last thing I want to do is just make sure all the names are spelled right and you include everyone. It's like inviting people to a wedding. All of a sudden, you think, I'm just going to need like 5 people, it's fine. And then you, oh yeah, that person gave us that location for free, and oh yeah, I have to include them. And oh yeah, I need that company gave us that thing, so I need to include their logo and be fair. And then before you know it, you've got this big clumsy thing that includes together. So if you're going to do it, you may as well have something that gives you a nicer way of doing it. So I found, of course, through FX Factory, that this thing called Rolling Credits, and it gives you quite a few different options. And of course, because it's in the FX Factory thing, it's very easy to look at. It's very easy to add and look at tutorials for all these different things, which is kind of handy. And you can see straight away that you get a good idea of what you're going to be getting. So now, some of these things are very usable, and some of them have got adjustments that you can make. So let's just take a look at it. You basically, this is what a normal one would look in, and that's fine. It's against black. And then this is one that we did using Rolling Credits. Now, it's not rendered, but one of the things that I really like about this is the fact that it's doing a vignette around outside the screen. It's got a nice little lit thing. You've got colors, and you've got control over this stuff. This is rendering with no motion blur, and my machine isn't a slouch, and of course, because I'm recording this video, it's slowing the machine down a little bit. And basically, it's fast enough and good enough to be moving around and adding things and changing things. One of the things that I really like about this is that oh, by the way, I want to just go in. You grab it not from the titles. You'd think it would be in there. It's actually in the SUGArfx rolling titles thing in the generator section. Okay, so and then all you do is you drag which one you want as a good starting point. These things are all customizable, and of course you can roll over them and get the idea of what you're going to be getting. That one, I like that one. That seems like one that's nice. This one, the kind of Star Wars one, is kind of usable to a certain degree. And these other ones are kind of nice. They've got good grads and all that kind of stuff. Interesting, different timeline options. Of course, you can use credit titles software, as you can see here. It's great. You can think, wow, I could use this actually for something else. It doesn't have to just be for credit titles. It can be a list. They do give you the option of coming down as well as going up, and most of the things are animatable. So let's just jump right into what we did here, and you can see straight away we had this is for something that we're just finishing up right now. You can see all the different people. And you click, once you've dragged it across there and you added it, you can see straight away you get this little adjustments here. I've got both of these vertical. Now, if I was to adjust them, I'll get to that in a little minute. You'll see that they allow things to have lots of different angles and movements. But basically, I've taken something that was a lot more fancy and just zeroed these things out. The text edit thing is good. It's a little bit basic, and I've seen in some of the other ones, and it does make me think that maybe this machine isn't on 10.3. Might be the thing, I'm not sure, but basically you'd think there would be the different sizes of fonts and different things, and maybe left hand side and right hand side, and maybe one part you want to have 2 columns and one part you want to have 1 column. I can see that straight away these are things that will probably be fixed in the next version or the next release. And so anyway, it's fairly basic. You can import from a different file, and you can paste and match style if you want, because if you've got certain things in there. But basically, a lot of the things will be ignored because it takes the tab that you're doing here, okay, as an indication of the second column and or the subcontext, and this being by itself as being the main thing. So as you can see that right there, it's the same type of deal there. That is the main one, and when you tab in on the next line, you get that. So it makes it nice and easy to change and add things. You can immediately see if you want to add something. Say we are going to that with total memo. Let's just go down there. Where would that be? I could say, well, I want to add my name. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. I can type, right? And then you go pow, and then you can see I'm added in right there. It's really simple. It's really fast, and kind of reminds me of when I had a motorbike. If my motorbike was right outside and it was ready to run, and I could just jump on it, off I'd go. I'd use it 10 times more. But it was in Scotland and it was cold, and it was in a storage barn over there, which is a walk. And so I ended up going, I'm not going to be bothered doing it. And so I use my bike a lot less. It's cold, it's a pain in the neck to get over there. Now, this takes the excuse of having, the slight bit of style on just the easiest bit of adding something. It takes away the excuse of not having black against white. Don't use it as a stylistic choice. It takes away that excuse. You can immediately have something very quickly that has a little bit of style, a nice little grad, it has little bits in it, and then you can basically just make it look a little bit better. Now let's go on to what these things do. You can see that when you adjust these, it kind of tilts things around, and you can make things go at different angles. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh! Now, I've set some of my things over here. I'm going to let that still play, which is great. You can adjust things while it's doing it. This undulator, if I was to adjust this and put the speed, you see that it starts moving around. Woo! Right? Isn't that cool? But I'm actually going to put that speed at 0. Now you can see it's still doing it, so I'm going to put this. This is a little bug I feel. It's actually it's a tiny thing. Because you get good feedback, you do it one way, you see it working, you do it the other, and you see it doing a different thing. It should really be at 0. But I think if you do it to 0, it's still got lots of wobbles in it. So if I put it to 100, put it back a bit, and I put these back to 0 like this, chunk. And now it's straight. Ta-da! Very, very simple. Again, things that you would play around with, like the size bias is something I've played with a lot on the column separation. So you can immediately just go, oh, I like that. Now, if you had to lay this out by hand and do it, you just wouldn't do it. You would just do the boring centered ones, and you'd maybe do 2 columns, and I don't know, I've seen stuff in the original Final Cut 7 that it's just noisy, and then because it takes so damn long to render, I remember watching something and the credit titles were longer than the actual film. It was a pain in the neck. It was like crawling up. It was painful. Now, you sometimes can't tell in the older versions because you don't get the feedback if it's working or not. You don't get that feedback. Oh, let's try this. So that freedom of being able to try things is just great. I love that. It's like, I like that. It's good. And the thing is, you can actually be doing this as well, which is a bit daft. You can do that. Right? Of course, it's slowing down. Guess what you can do? You can keyframe it too. Didn't even think of that. Let's just do this. Put a keyframe in there. And let's go over there. Let's put it there. Do it. Yep. Did. Haha! Fun. Anyway. So now let's look at some of the different styles. I just popped some of these in so you can kind of take a look at them. And some of them are quite nice. The great thing is, again, I've got no anti-aliasing. I've got it on proxy, so it goes much faster. But if you put it on a big external monitor and you put it to a good amount of anti-aliasing and a good amount of motion blur, I sometimes put a little bit more motion blur than 180 degrees. It tends to smooth it out a little bit. If you go too far, it looks like video. You just want to dial it back a little bit. It does look very crisp. It looks really, really nice. And I've seen that some of the basic ones built into Final Cut just don't give you that nice look. You can see it just looks a little bit noisy. Even though you got that, remember that that micropixel kerning and micropixel rendering. It didn't, I don't know, it always looked funky, always looked suspect. So this gives you a much better starting point. Now, there's some of the other ones though, some of the plugins, again, I'm probably thinking of it from a documentary standpoint, and I shouldn't, is that I'm looking at some of them and going, wow, that's just, I would never use that. But then I realize that some of them are more fun. Something like this kind of, oops, where is it? This kind of one would be more fun for something sci-fi, or could do some black to white, or maybe some comedy stuff. I don't know what I'd do with this one here, because it's kind of a little unreadable. Again, you could maybe do it with numbers. Maybe it's not representing credits. Maybe it's representing percentages of something. Maybe it could be for some kind of infographic type thing. And it's very easy to adjust. Again, all you do is you click on it, and you've got your, you can say if you want it 2 columns or 1 column. You can make it roll down or roll backwards, so you can make this kind of go away like that. And you've got your basic line separation to separate these guys out like that. And most of these things, you know, if I'm playing, I can change all of this on the fly, which is great. Again, I don't know why I'd want to do that, but it's there. It seems a little bit of a waste as a preset, because you've only got so many of them, as you can see down here. You've got like 12 of them. And I did try dialing this one back, but I'm sure they'd be useful. I'm sure somebody else would look at this and go, that's perfect, it's my perfect thing. And I think there's this adjustment here which adjusts the angle and the tilt. So there are ways of playing with it for sure. You know, let me see. You don't have that control whilst it's on. I don't know. Ooh, hello. It's interesting. Here's another one right here. I mean, look at that. It just looks, it's very, very clean. They've limited the amount of customization, so you're not going crazy and doing some bizarre things. It keeps you within a kind of like a limited kind of set of reasonable typography. Much in the same way that I wish it happened in the early days of the Macintosh, where people decided they were desktop publishing people, and they'd have curly-whirly fonts going, and look at that in my typesetter. In the same way, this is kind of limiting you to not going completely crazy. And it's good to a certain degree. There are some things I'd like to see added. I'd like it so that you can have 2 paragraphs or 2 columns and then 1 column, and then maybe add graphics. You see, I've actually had to add my graphics at the end here, which I haven't actually done in properly. See the way I've done that? Now you can see that it's slightly overtaking the speed of that, so I have to slow that down. You know, I have to play around with it. It takes me a little bit of work to do that. It's not mind-numbing. It takes about 5 minutes. Big deal. But if you could drop those pictures in, it would go perfectly with it. And I'm sure, again, this is a version 1 release. I'm sure the guys at SUGArfx have updated all their stuff, and things seem to be getting better all the time. I have no doubt that they'll fix this and all will be well. Let's see, there's another one over here. Yeah, I have to admit I wouldn't use this one so much. It's a vertical kind of wavy thing. A lot of them have got this undulation thing. It's one of the main things that I see going back and forwards, and different angles and stuff like that. And perhaps they'll have other options again in the future of maybe them doing different things, and not just this undulating thing. It seems to be the mainstay through all of them that you have an undulation factor. And if I was going to make something, again, you just drag it, plop it over here, and stretch that little guy out. And what I've been doing with this as a test is I've been going in and editing the text, just copying it and then pasting it in here. It's all rather fast. Oh yeah, this number, this is cool. I don't know if this will work with what we've got. I would like to see what happens. Whoa, okay, that is bonkers. So I can see that the first character is probably very big size. Title, that's a title, that's the very top. Let's go, let's bring the credits right down, and then bring the bias down, and then the column separation down too. Oh, so it's taking a little while. Whoa, okay, wow, completely different. Okay, let's go down to size credits. Let's bring that down too. So anyway, you can get an idea that you can play around and do different things, and this one again will, I guess, give you a stylistic thing too. You can play around and do all sorts of stuff. And then this one is the positioning one too. It's really good fun. I find I try things out a lot more than I would do, as I said before. It makes it like, even look at that. You can change your the line spacing as well. Let's see. I think you've got column separation, column offset. we've got the, where is the line spacing? Right up here. Let's just bring that down a little bit. So that's nice and fast. It gives you enough feedback that you can play. And, oops, this one. This handle you can move around and put anywhere. Ah, I kind of like that one. So there you have it. Great little plugin. I'm sure they'll update any of the niggles that I've kind of pointed out. Not really a big deal. It doesn't stop me from doing it, and it directly lets me do something that otherwise I just go, black and white, boring. It gives you something that otherwise you wouldn't be doing, and it does it in a nice little way. Thoroughly recommend it. I'll be using this from now on. Thanks.